are such great possibilities that lie within round 17, so let's lay them out on the 360 agenda. Friday night footy is an Adelaide Oval belter. The Hawks limp across the border and Crows coach Brenton Sanderson is with us live. By the words of Mick Malthouse, Chris Judd may well be in the final stretch, hardly being encouraged to play on. And Giants coach Leon Cameron gives us an inner sanctum experience marshalling his troops last weekend. I'm Gerard Whateley, he's Mark Robinson. This Bum Tap Uppercut Thursday, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard. How ironic. It's called Bum Tap Thursday.
How's your day been?
Hasn't been great.
With great hesitation.
For those who are just about who are eating dinner, I just want to tell Gerard, pause everyone, it's a message to all you men out there. I had my first prostate examination today, Gerard. And
you ready to tell the world?
Well, it's an important message, and if you go along it might save lives. And uncomfortable, I'll be honest. It was foreign territory for me. He said to me at one stage, the doc, he was really good, he was really comforting. He said, don't tense up. I was crouching on top of the cupboard in his office. I finally came down and, yeah, interesting. How old are you?
39.
You don't have to do it as yet.
I've had it.
You have?
Yep.
What, for practice?
Nothing like being ahead of the game, Robbo.
39.
Righto, let's...
Anyway, men, get out there. We were talking about it in the office. Baz and Cam are going to get onto it soon enough. So, you know where I got it from, sorry? Yeah, I was watching the EJ Whitten game and I thought to myself, here's the message for everyone. So off I went and here I am. So I thought I'd share my Thursday with you.
What are you looking forward to, Robbo?
Relaxing.
Something to look forward.
Getting on the couch tonight. I'm looking forward to the Suns without Gaz. It's the biggest story this week, Gerard. How is this team going to react? We had Guy McKenna on the buzzer last night with us, and you know he's been terrific, Guy McKenna. But the challenges now is. When you're in a game of footy like that, Gerard, sometimes momentum and confidence and energy and motivation can take you to levels. Yep. The difficulty is having to replicate that time and again. The good teams do it every week. This mob is taking on the Dogs. We're going to learn a lot about them if they survive, and I don't know if they'll prosper, but if they survive and continue, it will be just fantastic. And if they wilt, it'll be without their best players. So I tell you what, all eyes are going to be on the Gold Coast this weekend. Yep. I cannot wait to watch the game.
Exactly right.
What about you?
I go through the weekend and you look at something and you go, oh, I can't wait to ask Bomber about that, and oh, I can't wait to ask Ruzi about that. There's an early nomination this week. I can't wait to ask Ruzi about this.
Boys, I've had enough. That's it. You're out, and I think you know why. Ruck division's been appalling this year. I've had to bring in a new ruckman. Here he is. He's in, you're out. Well done, big fella. Good work. Oh, there you are.
I didn't really have Ruzi pegged for that. I offer no explanation for it. On Monday night, we'll find out.
That's good. That's great. He's pretty funny, Ruzi, isn't he?
Well, you asked Jack Trengove about it a couple of weeks ago, and it was a bit sort of 50-50. Yes, he has his moments of humour, but I wouldn't have had Ruzi in the he's pretty funny category.
Not with the Big Bird character. I wouldn't have had him with that. We've got Brenton Sanderson.
We do. So let's get into the top of the agenda, shall we? And all the possibilities contained within tomorrow night. The Crows are snapping at the heels of the 8. The Hawks are clinging on to second place. Things are a bit sharp at Hawthorn in prospect and in reality. It has been at selection as they look to rebound from what happened last Friday night.
Listen, there was a lot of things about our game last week that weren't too flash. We played really poorly last week. This game throws lots of curveballs at you from time to time, and we didn't respond very well to them last week, and we're a lot better side than that. At the minute, it looks like we're battling a little bit because we had a really poor performance last week, but it'll turn very quickly. We've got full faith in this group. They've been in great form, and it promises to be a great contest. We're looking forward to the last 6 or 7 home and away games and getting ourselves ready for a good tilt out come September.
We know with a sellout crowd at the Adelaide Oval, it will be a spectacular. Brenton Sanderson is on the couch at home, and we are very privileged to be able to head in there now. Brenton, thank you very much and welcome to AFL 360.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
This is the night where we ponder, Brenton, what's at stake. So we might give you the first crack at it. What's at stake from an Adelaide perspective tomorrow night?
I mean, I think the equation's pretty simple for the Adelaide Crows. Is we've just got to do our very best to beat our next opponent, and it's last year's premiers, and they're coming off a loss last week, so we know that they're going to come out really aggressively. And being a Friday night game, and national TV audience, the spotlight is certainly on this match, and we've just got to make sure we're ready. And as I said, the equation is easy: just beat our next opponent.
The elusive quality for so long has been a bit of momentum. It feels from the outside like there's momentum building at the Crows. Is that your sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we didn't start the season well. We were 0 wins and 3 losses, and since then our form's actually been pretty good. We've won 8, lost 4, and 3 of those losses have been by less than 10 points. So our form's pretty good. It's been inconsistent. We've had some bad quarters here and there, and but the last I guess sort of 6 to 8 weeks we've beaten some good sides, and obviously our form at Adelaide Oval's been pretty sharp as well. So. A really big night tomorrow night. Eddie Betts plays his 200th, which is great for, an individual that's been in our footy club only for half a season, but he's quickly become a cult figure with our fans, and we obviously adore him as well internally. So, really big night for our footy team.
Sando, what's tightened up in the last period of time that you've been striving for through the first half of the season that you think you're starting to get a bit of hold on, a bit of handle on it?
I think every club goes through challenges throughout the season with injuries, and I think we probably got challenged through the first half of the season. But what's really helped us in the last couple of weeks, we've got some really good players back that's helped our structure. So, Henderson's had 1 game back, Lynch and Brad Crouch really help our structure too, and obviously Walker. I know he wasn't at his best last week, but Taylor Walker's a really important player for us, and to get him back at about round 7 and to now get 6 or 7 games under his belt, I think he's going to finish the season off really strongly.
What about, we call it style of football? Was there any area of the way you played where, injuries aside, where you've been able to tighten up?
I think every club looks to play total football, which is a really healthy balance between attack and defence. But we're actually moving the ball really well in the last month in particular, where we're averaging 110 points in the last 4 games that we played, which is the best in the competition. And when we can get up and rolling, and when we can move the ball through our midfield and give our forwards, lots of opportunities, we really like what we can provide. So I talked about Eddie, but also too, Jenkins, Posiadley, Walker, Lynch back in that forward line. It's pretty dangerous if we can get the ball in there quickly, and that's what we've been able to do over the last month.
I don't know if you heard Clarko today. We just played him before you come on, Sando, when he's not talking with a big head. He's talking with such confidence. He says, I know this group. I've got faith in this group. And you actually look at Sanders, at Clark's, and you say, yeah, I agree with you. This club's got so much credits in the bank. So what are you expecting tomorrow night?
Oh, without question. I mean, Hawthorn, they're last year's premiers. This is a really great football team. They're really well coached. They're sometimes unfairly, you look at one match against North last week where that was a fantastic game to sort of sit and watch as a football spectator, but we know that we have to be at our best tomorrow night to beat them. We can't be even 5% off our best, otherwise we're going to get embarrassed. So they've got winners right throughout their team. I mean, you look at their forward line, Roughhead's kicked 40, Brewster's kicked 39, Gunston's kicked 36. Their midfielder, of course, is experienced and strong with Hodge, Lewis, Mitchell, and, of course, their run from defence with guys like Suckling and Birchall. So this is a really good football team, and as I said, in a really big game for us as a football team, but we're going to have to be at our best if we're going to beat them.
So when you watch that game, and everyone who watched that game, you walked away and you think, right, they shut down Isaac Smith on a wing. Hill didn't play. They stopped the run of Smith, and then they stopped the run from the back half. Birchall had a quiet game. Leatherlands, Duray, they had like 2 rebounds out from 4 defenders, which is very unlike Hawthorn. Do you look at that and say, right, we all know we have to do that, but North were able to stop it? Is that how you look at it, and you say, right, we've got to try and do the same, or you got your own plans?
Oh no, we. I mean, as a coaching group and as a senior coach, I've watched Hawthorn's last 4 games this week. So there's plenty of time spent on trying to look for opportunities that you think you might be able to expose the opposition, and it's very difficult because I mean, Hawthorn are a very good side, and only 2 weeks ago they beat Gold Coast by 90 points. So if it is wet tomorrow night and to contest the game, we know they're very strong. So. But yeah, we certainly look for ways to pressure opposition. And I mean, I spoke to our team today. You know, it almost seems now every week a club takes pressure and defence to another level. And I think North Melbourne did that last week. You know, the way that they pressured Hawthorn into mistakes, and we know how precision kicking Hawthorn rely on. North Melbourne were able to take away Hawthorn's first option, and you know, watching a lot of World Cup soccer the last couple of weeks as well, sort of reminds me how Hawthorn play. They're just so meticulous with how they move the football, and a lot of short passing and a lot of continual ball movement. So once again, our pressure, our defence is going to have to be top shelf tomorrow night.
Paddy Dangerfield got himself up. You've got the bye next week. How banged up is he at the moment? It feels like at the end of every game he's looking for the ice.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he spends the first couple of days after every match pretty much sleeping in an ice machine, and he just puts himself into positions where we know he's going to get hurt, and he knows he's going to get hurt. He's without question the most courageous player that I've ever seen play, and he is banged up, like most players are, getting to this point in the season, but he'll be one player that will certainly be looking forward to a week off next week.
When you say courage, the courage to play, we know there's a lot of courageous players who play the game. When you talk about courage, are you talking about the courage to play with injury and under duress?
Yes, that, but more so he'll just put his head or he'll put his body into positions that I think probably 90% of players wouldn't. He'll do anything he can just to win the footy, and I sort of joked with him this week, about somehow trying to ease himself into contest more, because he has classic white line fever. He's one of the most genuine, nicest players I've ever met in AFL footy, but his personality changes when he takes the field, and he's just an animal. He's brutal when he plays, and he's the ultimate competitor. And as you said, he grabs 7 or 8 bags of ice after a match, and he spends the first couple of days after a game just sort of relaxing, trying to recover to get up for training. But as we said, the bye probably comes at a good time for him if he can get through this week.
Well, look, notwithstanding that we fully understand that you all go 1 week at a time, when it gets to this stage, do you do the maths, Brenton? You're 9th looking in. Do you do the maths?
Without question, I do as a coach, but with the playing group, we only focus on our next contest, and you can sometimes waste energy talking as a group about, other results, and, we'll certainly be watching what Essendon, Collingwood, Gold Coast, North Melbourne. We'll certainly be looking at those results over the next few weeks, but our entire focus as a football team and as players is to win the next contest that we're in, and that's not just the next game, that's the next contest that you approach as a player, and that's worked for us in the past. Keep the messages simple and do our very best to beat our next opponent, which is this week, last year's premiers.
The Adelaide Oval is continuing to grow. It's grown in the consciousness of footy fans. The Crows put a stamp on it today by naming the race, as we understand it.
Yeah, Bob Hammond too is a legend of our football club. He was an AFL commissioner for 10 years, and his, CV in South Australian football is elite. And it was a really nice touch today. I know Bob addressed the players before our team meeting, and I know he did some work with our current chairman, Rob Chapman, afterwards with the media. And it's just a really nice touch today to see one of our club greats, one of our club administrators get acknowledged by the naming of the Adelaide Oval race after him.
Fantastic to let us into your home tonight, Brenton. Appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow night.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Brenton
Thanks,
Sanderson with us on AFL 360.
How big is that game?
Oh, yes.
I mean, really.
You mentioned Hill didn't get back.
Yep.
And Hale's been omitted.
Hale hasn't touched the ball for a month,
so
mate.
It's sharp at Hawthorn.
Oh, it is.
Adelaide's reasonably settled, notwithstanding Dangerfield's a bit banged up, and that knee injury gets through to play with the weekend off. But McAvoy, Simpkin, Langford in. So everyone was on alert for Hill, just expecting he would be there.
Yeah,
not there.
No good. And you take one player out, and the quality of Hill, it filters down, mate.
Yeah, the run you spoke of.
Isaac Smith. I liked the way Clarkson spoke today.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit sharp.
Yep.
I think they're feeling it.
Geordie bit back at me the other night and said, we must be doing a bit right. We're still second on the ladder.
I must have missed
absolutely
that bit.
right.
Did he?
Absolutely right. It's for all the questions swirling around them.
Mr. Nice Guy's getting beaten up by Jordan Lewis.
OK, let's have a look at just the rest of the key changes here. Start with West Coast. These are the most dramatic changes that have happened within one team. Now, Newing, Smith, Tunbridge, Sinclair, Sheed. Cox misses Saw. So he's been missing routinely.
That's twice in 3 weeks.
Kennedy suspended. Rosa we knew with the pec. Wellingham's been dropped for the second time this year.
Is it second or third? Well, I tell you what.
It's at least the second.
It's at least
multiple
the second.
times.
Well,
Cripps has been dropped as well.
He's an interesting story, Wellingham, and I mean that. He went home. Everyone thought he was going to be a regular and a strong contributor, and I thought West Coast would have thought that when they brought him home. He's been dropped twice. I think it's 3 times. That's not good. What they're doing, they can't make the finals. Stop Sheeds in, Sinclair, Tunbridge, Smith. They're giving people the crack.
And Cox missed 9. He misses 13 and 14. Now he misses 17. So you said it first year.
I said about round 8. I said I think
this will be the last year of Dean Cox by the looks of it. Okay, the other.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, the other key. Let's start with the outs here, with quite the story to tell from the Fremantle side of things. Ablett and McKenzie missed for the Suns. Higgins has been omitted.
Yep.
If you don't defend, you don't play. Brendan McCartney's got to the point, I reckon, that he wanted to get to. The mitigating factor here is that Higgins is one of only 2 players left on that free agency list we keep bobbing up. Goddard suspended. Stevens got a thigh injury at the Saints. Anthony lost his spot. Grundy made it back for 1, has been dropped again by Buckley.
It's not good.
Monfrey's second hamstring of the year. Yep. Rockcliffe's been suspended and he got checked by the coach today.
It hurts them, Monfrey, I'm telling you.
Yep. Carazzo a quad, Menzel a shoulder. Now Luke McFarlane.
Carazzo's getting soft tissues too many times as well.
McFarlane missed rounds 8, 9 and 10. Played twice. Misses 13, 14, 15. Plays once. Misses again.
He's running like I was walking out of the doctor's today. He's lost. He's sore. It looks like when you watch McFarlane play, he's playing sore.
Johnson comes straight back in.
They have to.
They have to, that's right. So he hasn't played since round 12.
That doesn't concern me too much when I say he has to, because the way they train these days, Jared, it's like Mitchell coming back in. Yeah. They prepare him so hard and ready to go. What they won't have is the absolute pressure of the game. But they're that good and that important, they come straight in.
Just park Fletcher for a minute, we'll come back there.
Yep.
Ball and Maxwell are back for the Pies. It's a very much strengthened Collingwood side. Hayes and Fisher plays for the first time this year for the Saints. Yep. Kelly for the Cats, Pavlich and Johnson. Boyd is back for the Giants, and a lot of interest in how Boyd goes from here this year, and 3 ins for the Tigers are all good. Now, Hibbert didn't get back for Essendon, and so Fletcher is in. In what you'd laid out before us, if Hibbert had played, then the question was, is there a spot for Fletcher?
He may not be in. He's named in. No,
he's in the team.
Oh, he's in the team.
So
I haven't seen the team.
Yeah.
If Hibbert was available, it would have been really interesting. But he's back. I'm not trying to finish this guy. I'm just saying this is where the situation is with the Dogs. I mean, this is one more closer to 400 games. He gets to 400 games. I mean, I'll be celebrating as hard as anyone. But these are the realities. When Essendon played Port Adelaide last week, they tackled their hearts out and they ran hard. And they had 2 tall defenders, and the rest of them were runners. Yep. And I wonder at some stage if that's just the way it's going to be.
Yep.
With 2 talls and the rest will be able to carry the ball.
So these last 2 months for Dustin Fletcher shape as pivotal.
Yep. And if it is over, everyone will give him a standing
ovation.
Thank you.
Chris Judd, same category.
Yeah,
now,
Mick
Malthouse was asked about this today, so you interpret this for yourself.
If Chris is up to it, it'd be great. If he's not up to it, then we look at him and say 14, 15 years of top quality football. Do you go with some in the tank, or do you go totally dry? Every year you have players who retire. In your own mind, you look at them and you think they should have retired. And I'm not saying that our football club, other football clubs. From outside looking in, you go, 1 year too long. And that'll be a decision that Chris makes. But I just think that certain players have already retired this year that perhaps have said, I wish I had have gone last year. So my advice to all players, go when there's a little bit left. Don't try to drag it right out, because I've seen too many great players, unfortunately, walk the boundary at the end of their career, and people just remember them the way they played their last year, which is so unfortunate.
I absolutely agree with everything he said, except for the last bit. You don't forget, you don't remember the last game.
Darren Glass and Jonathan Brown aren't remembered for how it ended.
No, they're not. But he's spot on, Mick, and I wrote this recently about Mick. If you're thinking about, he often says, if you're thinking about the future, and I've heard him give that advice before, don't go out on an empty tank. Go out, it's not dignity, but go out with a bit left in you. I think Juddy's still playing the sort of football that allows him to go on.
Yep.
But more and more the players talk about the mentality. Mick's an interesting bloke, and there was no warmth there. It was like he was talking about player X, not player Chris Judd. And sometimes you've got to be as brutal when you talk about a player like that, but always with the champs, we always sort of do it with a warm blanket around them.
Yeah.
You know, Mick sometimes can be brutal, and other times, you know, when he cried with his players and stuff. I mean, how warm is that for a coach to his players? But yeah, it was an interesting response, wasn't it? Can I ask you, how did you take it?
I'll be treasuring these games of Chris Judd on alert that this is likely to be the end. I couldn't read that any other way. Now, Judd might have a completely different view to that, and once we hear that, it might sort of set you at ease, but I'm on alert that these next 7 games are Judd's last.
Quick curveball. What if Carlton, Juddy says, yeah, I'll give it away, and then the team comes through and says, hey, mate, we'll give you 500,000 for 1 year.
I hope he doesn't do that. Yeah. But, you know...
And then he goes out and wins a flag.
Oh, well, that's...
Don't be so negative. You've got to look at the positives,
all right. The Giants, we spoke with Heath Shaw a couple of weeks ago after he'd had the nasty concussion, and there was no dressing that up, and we did sort of probe as to what the lag effect was in the days thereafter, and we've all learned a little bit more today with Leon Cameron ruling him out for the next couple of weeks.
He's not going to play until after the bye. He might be a chance after the bye. Initially, when Heath got the knock in the Sydney game, there was a very minor bleed to the brain, and so Heath's welfare comes first, and so we've got to be really, really careful on how he's progressing. The one thing that I will say is that he's starting to progress really well now. He ran today, which is great. He's upbeat. He's confident that he'll get back and playing some good footy after the bye.
It's alarming news, wasn't it?
Yeah, bleeding on the brain, I mean, you can't dress that up. As Heath Shaw sent a tweet out tonight, so thanks to everyone for all the messages of support. Already tried some headwear for my return game, and the headwear was... I like his hashtag all the way through has been hope Tippo's knee's okay. There you go.
He's a funny bugger.
Yeah,
he's sure.
Yep, he is.
He's a nutso sometimes on the field and everything, but he's been really good for the game of AFL. And when he went down like that, everyone was really concerned. And when I learned today, he had blood swelling. I couldn't wait to read further to find out how much is this going to affect his career, mate. I was really, really concerned. And we've got the concussion debates going on around the world at the moment. In America, we've got concussion discussions here in Australia. I'm thinking, oh no, he's got blood on his brain. What does that mean? And then they see he's back in 4 weeks. I thought, good. Don't take another hit to the head, though.
Yeah. Yep, that's what everyone's on alert for, isn't it? We've been really lucky throughout the year that some of the inner sanctum experiences provided to us by the clubs, and the Giants have done this with Leon Cameron as he marshalled his troops from the bench on the weekend.
Okay,
get him on, boys, get him on.
Find the man. Coming on, he's coming on, is he? He's not coming on.
Good. Keep going, come on. Keep going, mate. Keep hanging here. Add. See, when you were coming up, Henderson's dropping off. Yep. Yeah. Hey, Dev. If Dangerfield's the back, okay. Someone stay with him until actually hand over, okay. We've got to. Yep. These kick-outs, we need to find some short targets here. We've just got to use the ball a bit better, don't we? Phil, just a little bit, probably too slow there, but just some build-up kicks. Come here, Cogs and Dill. If Sloan's in the middle, one he's got to take, you take him, okay? If he's off, you take him, righto? You understand that? Yep. Good. That's exactly what we're after. Kick the goal. Tell him to kick the goal, Cogs!
Hey, keep going.
Let's go, Ads. First one that come out there from the kicking. Yeah. And you went for your mark, and went over the back. Spoil. Okay, best to spoil, okay? Best to spoil. Well done. Good defence. That's better defence. Great defence. Why don't we put Tomlinson on a wing and Hoskin and Whitfield forward? But well done, Zachy. Good boy. Right. What have we got here? Cal, what are you seeing in there, mate? Cal, anything? Toby. So they're trying to take you deep as much as possible? Or sort of half-half? It's good. Keep pressure. How do you think you can get him? 40! Oh, well, what I'm saying is, do you think it's better just to go like this? Because he's a bit shorter than you. What do you think?
Either or.
I'm asking you. Yeah, okay. No, I just want to know. Okay.
Mate, I'm happy to stay back if you want me to.
No. Keep mixing up. Keep going, Jez. Phil, come here.
Yeah.
Back long down the line. That's all we can do, okay? Just until we get to half-time. Well done, hey. You're doing really well on that.
A snapshot of coaching.
I sat in his box one day and I just wrote down a couple of things here, and he was the same in the box when I was in GWS. He's so positive. I remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the coach watches every play and the line coaches watch their area and who's going in and out. Listening to him about individual moments in games. There, come here, I've got to talk to you. Well done. We need a lot of that spoil. We need a like that, kick like this.
What do you think? I'm asking.
Yeah, how brilliant is that? Thanks GWS for that. Not just for us, for everyone. I know people watch, but how great was that?
All right, let's bring in the boys. Wow. Fight night on 360. Cam Mooney and Barry Hall looking ahead to what is about to unfold this weekend.
Baz, before I go on, I apologise.
Little birdie tells me you're really good at impersonations. Oh. Apparently. But Dangerfield was absolutely outstanding there. From 55, he's gone back and just put it straight through the high diddle, and that's how it's done, boys.
Now, I mentioned that he's banged up. He's lucky not to be more banged up than he is. Barry Hall, welcome.
Hello, boys.
Man of great restraint, well done.
Great stuff.
Cam Mooney, nice to have you.
Hi, Jared. Hi, Robbo.
Hello, Moons.
Taking bum tapping to the next stepper here.
Stop.
You seem to be crooked.
I'm not saying the doctor was thorough, but I thought he was a minor at one stage.
Paddy Dangerfield, you heard his coach a little earlier on saying he's banged up, but he's courageous to a fault.
Yeah, no, he gets bashed up every week, doesn't he? He gets tagged heavily, and look, they try and block his run because he's such an elite runner out of packs and he's explosive. Yeah, he does get bashed up quite a bit, but look, he's a tough nut. He'll get through those sorts of things, and let's hope it doesn't affect his performance too much. I know the knee injury on the weekend. The second half, he didn't look real flush in terms of his movement, but he got through the game, which was pleasing. They had a good win in the end, so let's hope he's a little bit better for it next week.
I don't think he's had a good as year this year as he had last year. And when Sanderson, when he interviewed him before, said, I had actually spoke to him about maybe not, I don't know exact words he used, don't attack the ball as hard as you do or ease in. I thought to myself, how do you stop?
You can't.
How do you stop that?
That's like asking him, Selwood, any of those guys, Bartel, you can't tell them to... They're see-ball, get-ball kind of players. And you can't tell them to, maybe back off on this one or that one. It's just not going to happen.
You can tell them, but they wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And, if he starts doing that, you're going to take away his best asset, which is,
But he won't be able to play to 30 in this environment that he plays in. As Sanderson said, he puts himself in positions where he takes the hits, not in the head, in the body. How do you play for 12 years like that?
You probably don't. that's where our game's getting. It's getting brutal.
Can't lose the great ones, and we lost a great one during the week for the rest of the season in Gary Ablett. How'd you read that?
I was a little bit surprised. I thought he may have seen maybe another 3 weeks out just to see how the team's going, see how he was feeling, maybe give it one more shot. But look, what it is, though, it is a fantastic now experience for these younger guys now to step up and try and lead this club for the next 7 weeks. Now, are they going to win a premiership this year? Well, probably not. So maybe the writing's on the wall saying, hey, how about let these young kids take it for the next 7 weeks, see what they can do with it, maybe play in a final, and then next year get ready to probably give it a real tilt next year.
We might see the benefit of the next 7 weeks next year.
I think it was a good decision. I think the fact that it was an 80% chance it was going to come out again. So I know you could sit there and wait, but to be 3 weeks ahead of schedule and back for the next year, bigger and stronger and better, I think it was a really good decision. I know he wants to be a part of their finals. They haven't even made finals yet, so we're not sure if they're going to be there or not. So it was a bit of a risk to hold off on surgery, but I reckon it's a good call for him, his future, and the footy club going forward.
Brian Lake, you're the anti-authoritarians. How did a 4-week suspension sit with you?
I thought it was a little bit too much. I know it was a graphic incident, but I thought it was a bit much. I was glad you reconfirmed your article. I thought you were really harsh on him, the first article you wrote. But with Drew Petrie putting hands in his face, I thought there was a reaction from that.
Yeah, I can't.
I know you clarified that.
I can't judge people's anger. And I'm not having a go at you, but you don't know how you'd react, Moons and Jared, if you're in that similar situation. It looked really bad, though, Baz. It's gone around the world.
I'm not saying it didn't look bad, but he wasn't laying on the ground. He just went up and choked him. It was a reaction to something else.
Yeah, it was. It was an act of revenge rather than a cold-hearted.
Reaction from that. We all seen the scratches on his face. Look, I know it looks very graphic, and I reckon if Brian Lake had his time again, he probably wouldn't do it. He'd react differently, but that's just the way it is. I thought 4 weeks was a bit harsh, but that's only me.
How long do grudges last in footy, I wonder? Douglas picked off Ward earlier in the year. And
oh, yeah, they last.
I think Ward was laying in wait for Douglas. The opportunity arose on Saturday.
It was good to watch too, wasn't it? I mean, we can't obviously do what they did in the olden days where you'd square up nice, maybe behind the ball or in a tackle, you'd let a swinging arm go, but there is definitely room for still squaring up, Robbo, in today's game. And when you get a chance to nail somebody fairly, hopefully, you've got to take the opportunity, even if you... bloke hasn't done anything to you in the past, you still try and hurt somebody.
Callum Ward got him good, but I reckon he still thinks he owes you one a little bit. So,
it was only half, you reckon?
Yeah, because he went off the ground and he couldn't continue the game.
It was just before he thought, oh, number 26, I remember that number. Whack.
But both players are hard as nails, those two. You'd love to see them in the ring together.
Lake, quickly.
Lake. Yeah, look, I thought he was going to get the 4 because when they threw him straight to the tribunal, that was always going to be a case for at least 3 to 4 weeks. I'm a bit Baz. I think it was a little bit too much. I know it was graphically looked horrible, but if those guys were standing up, and how many times have we seen blokes standing up and grab each other by the throat?
But they weren't standing up.
Yes, I know, and that's where probably the issue has come. But
it's a life issue.
For me, it was always look. It's not like he sat there and went anything like that. It was a 3-second hold.
I believe Brian Lake. I was at the tribunal. I believe him that he didn't squeeze, but he did push his fist into his
he was definitely trying to hurt him at the time, and as you do when you're
not wrestling for
when you have eyes to your face and into your fingers to your face and eyes, I think you do react. But at the end of the day, it was a bad look, and that's what he copped it.
A young key forward who's doing it the hard way this year is Jeremy Cameron. He spoke today about the struggles that he's enduring.
Yeah, obviously I've been up and down a fair bit in recent weeks, and I kind of early in the season I had a few injury concerns, and they kind of stopped me from getting a bit of momentum, but now put them aside, I really want to make amends this weekend.
It's been really frustrating by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it has, and Baz, you saw him on the weekend and you see he looked pretty sore, but from what I've seen of him this year, I reckon he's got into some bad habits, trying to get the ball out the back all the time. He stopped coming at the ball, which we saw him do a lot last year. We know he got the ball out the back a lot as well, but that really attack on the football, I reckon that went away from his game. Everything was out the back.
Why did he go like that? Is it confidence? Is it injury?
I think it was just more where his team was at, and maybe they were getting beaten, and he just thought, oh, if I can get my 3 or 4 out the back and kick goals, and I'll look like I've done my job.
Yeah.
But I think his game went away from what made him so good, was attacking the footy.
I seen him pre-game. I said hello to him, and he had a bit of a hobble up, and I believe there's a bit of an ankle injury from him. So there is an injury cloud over him. But for me, he's not fighting the fight anymore. In terms of if it's a bit hard, last year he would wrestle and fight for position in terms of what the defender's going to allow him to do. If it's a bit hard now, he's not fighting as much to get position.
Why? You say maybe it is state of the team.
Maybe it is injury, and maybe he's confidence and all of those types of things.
Because we saw him last year. You're right. Fight. Here we go. This guy was the only one.
And you speak about the one over the back. It's because that ball is the easiest one to get. You run around and you got the one over the back instead of fighting for position, having to lead up with the footy. That's that fight I'm talking about. And I haven't seen that this year from him. And it's all mental. It's all, he's injured and he's probably sore, and it's all a mental challenge for him. But a younger player, he'll be better for that.
The hardest thing for a forward to do is when your opponent's standing in front of you and you have to fight to get around him, knowing that he's going to be hitting you and bashing into you, trying to get around him. And like I said, sometimes the easiest option is to, you know what, I might just try and wait for the one out the back. And that's what that's what I saw in his game a little bit this year.
Well, I think we'll all have a look at that on the weekend. Yeah. He'll be closely watched.
Let's stay in Sydney. The Swans have a chance, Baz, to equal their longest ever winning streak, which was South Melbourne in the mid-30s, 12 in a row. It's ridiculous, but they're not the centre of conversation, and yet surely this season is revolving around them.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a remarkable effort from them, and there's a couple of big recruits pre-season, but their form has certainly turned around from the first few weeks of the season, and look, it's all coming together for them, and they can win when other players are down. Like Buddy Franklin had an off game on the weekend, but they can just seem to find some other avenue towards goal, or they're just a really good team at this stage. And
have they got any weaknesses? Have they got a glaring weakness, or have you guys spotted anything in them where, if you were coaching against them, you would maybe try to expose or push them in a certain area?
Just before you answer that, I'll play you Mick Malthouse, who's about to coach against them, and his assessment of just how good this Sydney list is.
Without a doubt, they've got the strongest and the deepest list that I've seen in football. My count is that 17, 18 of their players that aren't playing would fit comfortably into a lot of teams. I think the depth is as good as I've seen in any football club.
Mitchell's the one.
Yeah, I just thought I might get him.
Tom Mitchell's missing, and Ryan O'Keefe hasn't got a Guernsey.
Look, I said to you before, I reckon the biggest courageous move from this year was dropping Ryan O'Keefe. And a lot of people kicked up a big stink about it. But Parker's gone into the midfield and having an outstanding season, and then pushing forward, kicking goals. They brought in young Cunningham, brought in a lot more speed through the middle. But have they got a weakness? Not too much, no.
I thought at the start of the year their Achilles heel was maybe their defence in terms of their key backmen. Heath Grundy and Ted Ridges wasn't having the greatest games.
4 or 5 years now, haven't they?
Recently, they've been outstanding. They've really lifted.
They've got Shaw back there, who they didn't have last year.
Malcheski's All-Australian.
Back again.
The two, Bird and McGlynn, they're the two that have taken Ryan O'Keefe and Tom Mitchell. They've become, week in, week out, 25 hard possession winners. They're good players.
8, 9 deep can go through the midfield at any stage.
Guess how many they had going through the midfield last year in their last game against West Coast? Probably about 4. Remember last year? They fell over. They didn't have the midfield. John Longmire's spoken about that a couple of times this year. They've just they've got
McVeigh back in there now because he's not off the half-back line, because Shaw and that are back in the side. So, again, you got one of your captains going back into the middle, one of your best players.
Fair inclusion.
OK, we'll finish off Thursday's bum tappings become a cross.
Really? By how?
Is this a picture of Robbo?
We'll have to go again.
Cross-code phenomenon. You watching Origin last night?
Yes, watching Origin. My beloved Blues just couldn't quite get the 3 in a row last night. But see this here, look at this.
Oh,
Bang. Boom.
3.
It's cross-coding. Fantastic.
And the uppercut. Now, I'm shocked that Moons is not the uppercut here. What was it, 4 minutes into the third quarter?
I did make a bold statement. I made a bold statement.
Hawthorn all the way here.
Yes, it was 5 minutes into the third quarter Friday night. I said, I'm going to call it. I'm going to think. I think Hawthorn are going to win this. North went and kick the next 6 goals.
Well, we're giving you a reprieve for this, but the uppercut this week is for, I can't even pronounce his name. Can you pronounce his name? Because you're the only one I can read on this panel. Vincenzo Nibali. Nibali.
Tour de France.
He's a current leader at Tour de France.
Yeah.
And if we can just have a look at this picture. What's wrong with this picture, Robbo? Oh my God! You can almost see a pulse, can't you?
You can almost see
I have completely lost control of this segment.
Can you get them any tighter?
That is a reprimand. I'm not sure that it's not a red card.
Red card. Thank God I didn't say it looked like a camel toe.
Too far. Dismissed. Goodbye. Shut up.
Go.
Have Craig Bellamy, if he hasn't left, who's about to walk in and join us, going to be part of the weekend forecast. He is part of the AFL scene, even though he's on the NRL side of things.
To the right, step it up, it's all right. To the right.
Friday night will be deluxe. It's a sold-out Adelaide Oval, a first-class cast and mighty high stakes. Hawthorn looking to live the promise of their coach and the trust to stay in the top 4. And Adelaide, Brenton Sanderson is doing the maths. The fastest way into the 8 is to knock over the Hawks. That's tomorrow night here on Fox Footy. And one man who I know will be partaking a bit of it because he is a Hawks man through and through from an AFL side of things. He's the coach of the Melbourne Storm, Craig Bellamy. Craig, welcome.
Thanks, Jared.
Great to have you as part of it. You keep reasonably close connections to the AFL. And in fact, this week, you've been embedded with the club.
Yeah, we played a game against the Georgia on Monday night, and we had the bye last weekend. So me and our footy manager Frank Panucci went over and spent a couple of days at Port Adelaide. There's been a little bit of a connection there for 18 months since Ken's been there, and they've come over to have a look at our operation. They've sent a couple of young players over once, to do a bit of training with us. So really good connection. It was a really good couple of days. They're a very, very professional club, and you can see how they've turned that club around in 18 months.
What do you uncover? What do you see?
For us, it's go and have a look at not so much their training sessions, but how they schedule their training sessions, not so much the content, because it's a different game. The big thing I probably got is how how they presented to their players and how they got their information to the players, and so that was I wouldn't say it was a real eye opener, but it was something a little bit different.
What do they do different to how do you deliver?
I don't want to give away their secrets, so
can't be too much.
They won't let me back again. But like I say, it was really interesting, and like I say, they do it really well. So there'll be a couple of things there that we'll be trying out with our club.
There is a kinship between the coaches across codes, isn't there?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I first got to meet Ken when he first went into the job, and we had a couple of chats throughout last year. I suppose bouncing a couple of things off each other. But I've had a long friendship and a long association with Alistair Clarkson. I probably met Alistair in 2010. Might have been 11, but and we've stayed pretty close since. And I wouldn't say we're both really busy throughout the season, so you don't get a lot of time to see or see each other or actually communicate that much. But we make sure we probably meet up 3 or 4 times a year, and we run a few things by each other. And like I say, not only that though, I'd consider Alistair Clarkson a real good friend of mine.
I watched the State of Origin last night, Craig, and I saw Smithy and Billy Slater playing. And I thought to myself, this is a dead rubber. In the first State of Origin, I watched them all go down, thinking, oh, Storm's where they are on the ladder, struggling and trying to get some games together. I thought to myself, why are these two playing in what I would perceive to be a dead rubber when it's a fierce contest, and they could hurt themselves and be out of the domestic season?
Yeah, well, they could be, and like we lost Cooper there for 6 or 7 weeks, and Billy missed a couple of games after the first one. So, Origin has probably hurt us a little bit this year injury-wise. The last few years we've been pretty lucky injury-wise. It always takes something out of them. I'm not quite sure how long they're going to take to get back to their best. You know, emotionally they're spent, physically they're spent after a series. So, you know, that's always in our planning. But when they get injured, you know, it's not in your plan. And so, yeah, like I say, those guys, you know, they've got a real pride about playing for their state. They've got a real pride about their own performance, and like I say, it's important to them. And you know, I know it's really hard for the AFL community to understand how we accept that and even embrace Origin when it does affect our season with the club. You know, and we're not the only team. There's other teams as well. You know, a lot of other teams. So, but like I say, it's something that's been accepted in our game. It's a pinnacle of our game for players to play in. So you know, we accept that and embrace it.
Does it need to change if it's a dead rubber? Would you like to not see them play personally as coach? Yeah,
without a doubt. But having said that, you know, I really enjoyed last night's game, to be quite honest. But yeah, I think we'd all like to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen. And well, I'm sure it's not going to happen. You know, obviously there's a lot of money made out of Origin for Arcade and you know, through the TV station. So you know, it's going to be a 3-game series. Doesn't matter what happens. And we'd like to see it, obviously, Origin have its own, you know, compartment, you know, throughout the season and you know, not play our club or wherever. But you know, where the club, you know, the clubs don't play for 3 or 4 weeks, but that's not going to happen either. You know, in the near future, I wouldn't imagine. There's obviously things with TV and TV rights, but it's a huge thing for our game. But as I said, you know, our players, and I know all other players, you know, that's the pinnacle. You know, to play Origin, and you know, for Cam Smith last night to play in 20 winning Origin games. Incredible. Well, that's an amazing stat to play 20 Origins. To play 20 winning Origins, it's amazing, and just goes to show he's standing in the game.
He's your favourite player, isn't he?
Cam?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is he your favourite player?
No, I've got a couple. He'd be up there with him.
All right, play the weekend forecast with us if you would, and hopefully the storm bobs up in here. It's brought to you by Gatorade.
Do you know how to play this game?
I'm sort of rude, and so I'm going catching up with it.
So your sure thing, Craig. What is a sure thing across the codes?
I think the Hawks will bounce back. You know, I think once they played some of their best footy early in the year when they had a few guys out. I know they've got a few guys out at the moment, but you know, I think that's when they really aim up, bristle up, and you know, I expect, you know, they'll do that tomorrow night in Adelaide.
I think it's good for them that they go on the road together and get away. My sure thing, hell will descend on Collingwood if they lose. Right. Oh, there's enough pressure.
We're not underestimating the consequences.
This is a huge game of football on Sunday. Season for Essendon, Collingwood, they're vulnerable. If they lose, I think the spotlight will go heavily on them.
Okay. I think Brownlow favouritism will change hands every week between now and the end of the season by whoever's best on ground amongst the fancies, because it's so tenuous at the moment. Most at stake.
Again, I'm going the AFL. I think North Melbourne have got a bit of stake this week.
I'm going to go at North Melbourne. You come on the show and you have a go at
North Melbourne. I'm not having a go at them. I really admire them because they've beat a lot of the top sides. And it was a great performance last week to beat Hawthorn, but perhaps they haven't backed that up so well, you know, earlier in the season when they've beat the top teams, and they've got one, you know, fair way down the ladder this time. So, you know, to me, for them to be, you know, real contenders, you know, they need to back up a good performance on good performance, especially against a side that's, you know, a bit lower than them on the ladder.
Your sure things are Hawks. My most at stake's Hawthorn.
Yep.
No, I think they're under. It's a big game.
I'm going Port Adelaide because the Bellamy influence has been there. If you wouldn't want to get it wrong against Richmond. Doomsday scenario.
Oh, I think it's doomsday scenario for me will probably be tomorrow. Cameron Smith will probably see me on this show because I know he watches it religiously, and he'll think that I'm coming on here trying to pinch his spot. He loves his AFL, and he thinks he's a really good prediction of winners and losers. So he'll be thinking I'm trying to pinch his spot. So he'll be giving it to me tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to give it to you now. I'm not going to upset you. My doomsday is the Storm lose again.
Could be.
It could be. Would that be a doomsday?
No, there's still, you know, a few games to go yet. But yeah, again, we're coming off Origin. We, you know, five guys are probably going to back up. So we just need to start performing a bit better. I know a lot of people have sort of said, through Origin we've had the injuries and we've been inconsistent. We were inconsistent early in the season too, so that's what we need to fix. Get our performances more consistent for the 80 minutes and more consistent from game to game.
All right, start the climb. Good luck with it.
Thanks a lot.
My doomsday is the Suns losing for every reason that Robbo mentioned at the start of the show. OK, we'll tidy up on 360 next. Sunday afternoon, Essendon and Collingwood, with the threat of hell descending on the Pies should they lose. That's a juicy prospect on 5:03 come 3 o'clock. Hello, Rob. Hello. Nuts.
You always ruin what I'm going to do. You haven't lost your hair, have you?
Appreciate it, mate. If you want some, I can potentially look at giving you some, mate.
Absolute perfect time to go and interview the coach or give him a bum tap.
What did you do?
I panicked and ran away.
It's a tough business, Rob. I don't know. Haven't you been bashed this week by everyone?
All right, let's start.
God, you are. You are a dead set.
You can't tell him anything in the pre-game.
Did you call for my help?
Never. No.
That was hard. That was hard.
The Holding the Ball Summit is coming at the end of the year, the meeting of the minds.
Can we get tickets? Are we allowed to go?
I reckon we should all.
Are we taking it live, Jared, or not?
Oh, excellent plan. I like it. One of the greatest slogans in the history of football. Up yours, Oakley. Surely the finest tackle of your career.
But there's not many to pick from.
Little snapshot of what we've been through this week. I'll tease you with this.
What is it?
Next week, Peter Dacos is going to come.
Dakes, isn't he?
Yeah. I knew you'd like that.
Everyone loves Dakes.
Yeah, he does. All right, enjoy your weekend of footy. It really should be a beauty.
Brilliant.
See you next week on 360.